Hello, and welcome to both day 10 of No Shave November, as well as me forgetting how I held my camera in my previous videos. I just finished Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Releases, what is it, the November 11th, 2022, aka, November 10th, those Thursday night premiere shows. Um, I'm gonna do something that I don't typically do, and I'm actually gonna start out with what I gave the movie, like the rating, and I'll get into it why I'm doing this in a second. As well as a lot of my coworkers, gave the movie an 8 out of 10, and now that does sound good, and it is good. However, at the same time, we all agreed it was about a 7 or an 8 out of 10. Uh, but in the same token, we also struggled to articulate the things that we liked in the movie. And that sounds a bit silly because we gave it a high score, and it's true, it does deserve it, especially after the fucking piece of shit that was the Thor Love and Thunder. But, you know, this was definitely Marvel getting back into its stride after the mediocre at best She-Hulk, the Miss Marvel that I haven't seen, but I haven't heard anything, and no news is good news, I think. Moon Knight was pretty good, but the detractor community for the Marvel movies, the MCU, they've certainly gotten a lot of gusto. They've gotten more loud and they've gotten more brazen in their critiques, and whether or not those are actually warranted is a question for the whole of the MCU. And I'm here to simply answer the question for Black Panther itself. The movie itself, it was very dramatic. There actually wasn't that many action scenes in there, which I was a bit surprised. What you see is what you get. What you see in the trailer is essentially the fight scenes you're going to see in the movie. There's not much extra. And that surprised and disappointed me a little bit, because, oh man, they certainly love to talk. That movie, it's all political, the world of, not Atlantis, I forget what they called it, off the coast of, Mexico, and the Wakandans and the Americas trying to wedge themselves in, because of course they are. It's a very political movie, and not political in the sense of social justice and what people would use the term political for now, but it's very political in the fact that there's a lot of different moving parts, and lots of different countries are trying to get their pieces, get their piece of the pie, as it were. And I think that was interesting. The action definitely took a backseat to the dialogue. And whether that's for better or for worse will be left to be seen in future MCU projects. Uh, Speaking of, there was that recruiter lady. She was in there for like a little bit. The one who was in Black Widow and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which, that's obviously going to be the lead-in for the Thunderbolts. That one is one I'm excited about. That one's one I'm excited about. She doesn't really do much though, so I guess that's why I mentioned that, because that's not really like a spoiler to me. Overall, I thought that the movie was very ambitious with the action. Yes, very ambitious, and whether or not that paid off was scene by scene. There were certainly moments that looked nice. There was definitely the use of practical effects, especially in the, mermaid people's looks, and that was nice. Nice to see. But when they used the special effects, that was a real hit or miss game right there. That was real, because sometimes it was passable, and then other times it was Matt Smith and Morbius, if you know what I mean. Yeah, just no bueno, no bueno right there. I think that the movie certainly handled its themes well. It knew the story that it wanted to tell, and it opened with them being very cognizant of the passing of Chadwick Boseman. And that is something I'm going to be interested to see because I almost felt it was a little bit too on the nose, if you know what I mean. I'm not going to discuss it much, but you know, obviously, Chadwick can't play Black Panther T'Challa anymore, and so then they had to give the in-universe reason for that, and they came swinging right out of the gate with that, and I felt like that was a bit tone deaf almost. Maybe that's the right word. But yeah, it was an entertaining movie, and it is definitely something that I'm gonna see as people saying, "Oh, it's bringing back the MCU," especially after Thor: Love and Thunder, and She-Hulk. Uh, but I do think that this is once again a step in the right direction for the MCU. Now, where they're gonna take it from here, I'm not too sure because there's certainly, like I said, there's the Thunderbolts connection, and there's obviously the door that's going to be open for the next couple of projects. But other than that, their scope right now is pretty small. There hasn't been much references to any other characters. Um, so then I'm interested to see how the Black Panther is going to play into the larger MCU going forward, especially in the Avengers movies. That's just a given essentially at this point. Um, yeah, Riri Williams as Ironheart. I thought that she was pretty good. She definitely didn't overstay her welcome, which I was honestly surprised by. I was expecting them to really push her as, a character because she's essentially the new Iron Man. And Iron Man was the flagship. He was literally the main character of the MCU for like 10 years. And so then they bring in, the Iron Man 2. You would think that they would have been paying a lot more attention to her. And they didn't, which I was actually happy about, especially because she's getting her own television show, of course. But overall, I think that she had just the perfect amount of screen time. Shuri, the new Black Panther, the younger sister of T'Challa, she has this really big internal conflict, and I felt like it was really on the nose, especially with a character cameo that I can't obviously really get into because that's a spoiler, but I felt like it was a bit on the nose because she's like, "Oh, I want to help people," and then all these tragic things happen, and she goes, "I want to kill everyone," and you're just like, "Okay, well, how long is this, you know, dark character interpretation gonna last?" It's like the symbiote on Peter Parker, it's like, okay, acting out of line. When are you gonna take it off and go back to being a friendly neighborhood Black Panther? You know what I mean? Overall, like I said, 8 out of 10. It was a very entertaining movie. Not much on spectacle, but the fight scenes that they were very nicely choreographed. I felt like it was held back by the CGI, but the things that were done practically were practically perfect. See what I did there? Um, so yeah. I guess that's my review. Go see Black Panther. I know I'm definitely going to be drenched either way. Drenched because anymore. Because I am working Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and I'm closing all those days, closing the theater, which means I'm gonna leave at like 5 a.m. So wish me luck, guys, and I will see you guys later. Peace out.